Namaskar Bondhura, I am Antara and today I want to talk about something very serious and urgent. Has there ever been a time where you felt drained, not because of a lost game, but for politics? If your answer is yes, then congrats, you're not alone. Your burnout is extremely real. You might be wondering, why is this girl suddenly talking politics on a mental health channel? It's because I've lived the emotional fallout of both. I've survived trauma, I have lived with CPTSD and DPD, and I've personally seen how political chaos isn't just on the news. It is in our nervous systems, our relationships, our sleep, and everything. Today, let's unpack how politics affect our collective mental health. When TMC won in 2011, ending the 34 years of left government in West Bengal. In the same year, Arvind Kejriwal, Anna Hazare led Jan Lokpal Andolan, which piqued my interest in politics further. Back then, I didn't know what burnout really is. But I remember my family arguing over political debates, the tension during news hours, and how the grown-ups around me acted during elections and protests. Fast forward to now, I'm an adult navigating trauma, therapy, and recovery. And finally, I get it. Politics isn't just policy, it's personal. Especially in India, where every decision, from a fuel hike to a religious conflict, feels like it invades our homes, our phones, and our peace of mind. So in this video, I'm not here to rant. I'm here to validate the invisible anxiety that politics can cause. I'll share stories, data from India, and most importantly, I will show you that if politics ever left you feeling broken, you're not crazy, you're reacting, and you're not alone. In 2024, an Ipsos India survey found that 53% of urban Indians have reported having stress severe enough to disrupt their daily life. And the spike came right after the Lok Sabha election season, during a time of non-stop political content, debates, and uncertainty. And the youth aren't immune as well. The Lokniti CSDS 2023 barometer included over 7,000 respondents and found that a significant chunk of first-time voters reported feeling emotionally overwhelmed, citing fear, social media toxicity, and uncertainty. So if you've noticed panic swells when a major vote or law crops up, it's not just headline fatigue, it's political stress, encoded in India's urban psyche. These invisible symptoms, restless sleep, irritability, helpless doom scrolling, are not in your head. They are a collective response, validated by data. So now we know political stress in India isn't just a you problem. It's a collective experience backed by surveys and clinical data. But let's get even more specific. What happens when a single political decision made overnight hits people not just emotionally, but financially, physically, and psychologically? Let me take you back to 2016, the year of demonetization. The night 500 and 1000 rupee notes were wiped out of circulation, and with them, the peace of millions of Indians. Doctors in Agra and Kolkata reported a 15 to 20% spike in psychiatric cases, panic attacks, anxiety, sleep issues within just weeks of the announcement. In Mumbai, a trader with unaccounted cash had his heart pounding so badly he thought he was having a heart attack. But he was tested fine. And it turned out to be a panic attack, triggered by fear of losing everything. Psychologists in Delhi's Apollo Hospital saw nearly 30% of November-December clients express demonetization related anxiety. It wasn't just the policy. And all of this was justified, saying सियाचिन में जवान खड़े हैं, आप भी ATM लाइन में खड़े हो जाओ. Funny fact, 99.3% of the demonetized currency came right back to RBI. Alright, let's talk Kashmir, where politics is more than headlines. It literally rewrites your day-to-day life. In August 2019, after Article 370 was revoked, Kashmir entered a complete lockdown. Curfews, heavy army presence, zero internet, no calls, no WhatsApp, nothing, for nearly 7 million people. But the crisis wasn't just silence. In Srinagar alone, a psychiatric clinic saw hundreds of patients daily, all struggling with anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. And look at the 2015 MSF study. It found that 45% adults in Kashmir, that's about 1.8 million people, saw symptoms of mental stress. 41% had depression, 26% anxiety, and 19% PTSD. That's trauma baked in your bloodstream, born from a political decision you didn't even vote for. I've never lived in Kashmir, but I've always felt something deep for the land and its people. Maybe it's the silence behind the beauty or the resilience behind the pain. When I read those numbers, millions living with untreated trauma just because of political decisions, it hit different. And it made me realize something's very scary. Politics doesn't even wait for us to grow up. It hits us early, sometimes when we are barely old enough to understand it. So in the next part, let's talk about something nobody warns you about: kids and protests. Here's something most videos skip. When protests happen, children often tag along, and that's a big psychological deal. During the anti-CAA protest in 2019-20, the NCPCR flagged serious concern. They urged police to investigate adults using children in stone pelting or violent acts, and warned these kids could suffer from mental trauma simply by being there. In UP, a citizen report found 41 detained minors had witnessed torturous scenes, police showing them videos of other people being beaten, used threats to traumatize them. Kids don't process ideology, they process fear, and that's a hell of a psychological burden. Even childhood isn't safe from political chaos. What hope does adulthood have? Let's take it further into the fields. Because in India, political failure can look like drought, debt, and death. Policies may be drafted in Delhi, but their fallout lands in our kitchens, on our farms, and inside our minds. And when agrarian policies fail, people don't just lose crops, but hopes too. A 2020 study in Vidarbha showed a shocking 60% of farmers needed help for mental health issues. 55% had anxiety, 25% had clinical depression, and 35% somatic symptoms like body pain. In 2022, Maharashtra lost 26,566 farmers to suicide. That's nearly 7 every single day. Most were small to medium landholders. NCRB data from 2022 shows 11,290 suicides in agriculture across India. 5,207 were farmers, and Maharashtra alone accounted for 38% of them. These aren't just numbers. They are thousands of families grieving in silence while policy debates rage on TV. Because when a farmer takes their life, it's not just because of one bad crop. It's the weight of death, drought, shame, and a system that treats them like statistics. Politics doesn't just show up in parliament, it shows up in their pain, and we are long overdue to talk about that. From fields to front lines, it's clear political decisions leave scars, but sometimes the damage doesn't come with sirens or protests. Sometimes it creeps in quietly through screens. If you have ever felt emotionally wiped after just scrolling the news or anxious during elections without even stepping out of the home, yeah, you're not alone. Because the next part of the story is about lockdowns, elections, and digital fatigue. How even staying informed can take a toll on your mental health. Alright, this last stretch, this one hits close to home. When politics invades your whole feed, you don't just consume news. Often the news consumes you. I'll be honest, lockdown felt weirdly normal as isolation was already my default. But for others, it shattered routines, relationships, and mental health. And the numbers prove it. During the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020, the Indian Psychiatric Society found 20% rise in mental health cases because staying locked down isn't just physical, it's psychological. A peer-reviewed survey of 1,685 Indians showed 38% experiencing anxiety and 10% showing signs of clinical depression in just 2 weeks into lockdown. India Today reported anxiety complaints 166% between April and June 2020, where the country moved from lockdown to unlock phases, and COVID anxiety hit a new high. It wasn't just COVID. People called helplines like Telemanas and Empower more often than ever. For example, Ahmedabad's Telemanas logged 17,000 calls, with 36% citing mood swings, over 80% mentioning stress, anxiety, and sleep issues. And get this, Empower helplines saw 126% spike in between 2020 and 2024, and helplines saw 126% spike in men calling between 2020 to 2024. Empower helplines saw a 126% spike in men calling between 2020 to 2024, mainly over relationship, anxiety, and stress. Between endless elections, lockdown cycles, and 24/7 scroll, our brain gets hijacked. We are not weak, we are overloaded. Okay, now take a breath. Because if this video felt heavy, it's because reality is heavy. But here's the thing. You're not crazy, lazy, or dramatic. You're just reacting like any human would. When political chaos becomes chronic, so does the stress. And that's not weakness. That's your nervous system asking for help. So what do? We start by naming the feeling. Rage, numbness, burnout, grief. Those are real. Then we ground ourselves. Delete the news app for a week. Journal, move your body, talk to someone who doesn't gaslight you. Therapy if you can access it. Nature, music, faith, whatever connects you back to yourself. We might not control elections, but we can vote for our own peace every damn day. And if you have felt alone in this, you're not. I see you. And in this space is yours too. If this hit home, send it to someone who needs to hear it. Let's make mental health louder than politics for once. Thank you. I hope you like it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.